Hello, welcome to Sarah Overbooked. I am Sarah. Today I will be going over my March update. Start off March, I moved to this apartment that I'm in now. So the first weekend was busy. I was just moving and trying to mentally deal with the diagnosis that I got in February. Still working part-time only, still finishing up the curling season. In March is when the disease, the CLL, really started to kick in. By the end of March, I was having breathing issues, eating problems. I was in a lot of pain. Had my now I'm covered in fur. It's hot here, sticky. 80% humidity, covered in fur. I started having breathing issues because of enlarged spleen. I started having eating issues because of the enlarged spleen. My lymph nodes were so big, I was starting to get a lot of pain. By the end of the month, the one back here enlarged so fast, and so big that it split the skin open. So yeah, this is what I was dealing with in March. Not a lot to update in March, just basically a few major things that happened, and that basically was the extent of what I was dealing with in March. Okay, so the first book I read in March was The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I'll start off by saying that this is a thriller in the same vein as No Escape, as in it is, sorry, my cat, knocking things over. This is in the same vein as No Escape, his previous book, as in it is a fast-paced thriller. It's not as good as No Escape, but still very fast-paced, kept your attention because things just kept going. There was no real slowdown in it. So basically this book, Emma is running from her old life. There was a tragedy that happened and she just ran away. This tragedy was supposed to be a big reveal near the end of the story. I figured it out right away, so I don't know how well that went over for everybody else, but yeah, it was not a surprise in my opinion. But when she ran away, she started house sitting, and she got a job house sitting at a mostly isolated beach house where she spends most of her time reading and writing reviews. And she picked a book, a horror book, and she read it and she didn't like it, so she gave it 1 star in her review. And basically right after she posted the review, the author started commenting on her review. And after the exchange where she said, "No, I won't take this review down, this is my honest opinion," things start occurring at the house she's staying at. As the story goes on, she finds out that things occurred to other house sitters that were there before her, and things escalate to the book. I enjoyed this one. It's not for everybody. Probably about 50% of the people that I saw review this one liked it. The other didn't like it so much. The second book that I read in March was Travis Baldry's Legends and Lattes. This was a quick read, as all cozies are meant to be. This was possibly my second cozy fantasy that I've read. Not quite sure, but it's a low number. This one was definitely more up my alley than the other that I can think of that I've read, which was more romance geared, and this one is more adventure geared. The main character went through the adventures of starting a new business. She was being stalked. She was finding out all of the stuff that needed to be done and how to do it for starting this new business and running this business. She had a battle with the gang. She found a new family. Something about cozies, though, there's just some level to it that I've never given a cozy a 5-star, and this is not that either. But because this was adventure based, there was at least some tension in the story. The tension with the city's gang that was trying to get money for safety for the business, and there was another storyline that also added tension that I don't really want to give away. So for the 5 people out there that haven't read this book yet, 5 people who are slower than me on this one, I guess I just like more tension and darkness in my books, and cozies aren't that. They're cozies. They're not supposed to be tense and dark, but they're good palate cleansers, so I still read them and enjoy them. They just don't have that extra oomph that I like to make them really, really good. This was probably the best of all the cozies that I've read. I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, so there is that. The third book I read in March is xxxHolic, a graphic novel omnibus by Clamp. I chose to read this one because I'm doing my read the alphabet challenge, and I needed a book for X. This book follows Watanuki, who can see spirits. He is not thrilled that he can see spirits. It disturbs him, and he wishes that he could be normal. One day, he goes down to a shop where he meets Yuko, who says she can grant his wish for a price. Her price is that Watanuki works for her until she feels that his debt is paid off. She doesn't give an actual timeline or amount. It's just however long she feels that his work would pay off the debt. During the time that he's working for her, the two see and interact with many other people who have wishes that Yuko is able to grant for a price. And sometimes the people pay, sometimes they don't, and each way we get to see how this encounter works out for them. I didn't really enjoy this one. It was kind of boring. I may continue it if I need more X titled books, if I continue to do the alphabet challenge in the years to come, but it wasn't a attention grabber. Let's see, the 4th book I read in March is something that most people probably aren't going to read, but I read the NCCN's guidelines for patients for chronic lymphocytic leukemia. You can imagine why I did that. I was still in my research mode trying to figure out what the hell was happening with my body, especially as the disease got worse and I was just not feeling well. I'm not really going to go over that. That's just something I read. The fifth book I read, another one, Chronic Lymphocytic Leukemia, Understanding Chronic Lymphocytic Leukemia, and a Comprehensive Guide by Dr. Spinu Eugenia. I'm sure I am pronouncing his name wrong, and I apologize profusely for that. This, again, very few people will be interested in that, but that's what I read. The next book, which is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the sixth book I read in March, forgot what month I was doing, was Fuck You Cancer and the Cell You Rode In On. Again, very few people will be interested in reading this. This is a humor book about getting diagnosed and going through the initial treatments and whatnot of getting cancer. This isn't, he didn't have, Rich Gotti did not have CLL, but cancer is cancer, and a lot of the steps are the same. Not exactly the same, everything's different, a little different, but it was close enough. I needed something to lighten the mood, and it was good. It helped. It helped my mood and my mental state at that time. So the seventh book I read in March was Monica Kim's The Eyes Are the Best Part. And this one, I got a kitty. This is a story of a female serial killer. I'm just gonna go ahead and start with, Kim brought something up at the end of the book that I was worried would actually be the ending, but she didn't end it there. So I was really happy about that. She kept going, and it made the book much better. If she had stopped at that point, I would have really disliked this book. She kept going. She didn't make the... I don't want to say what it was because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't read this. She didn't make this particular thing the reason for the book, and that that made me happy. This is a psychological horror about Jiwang and her family, basically in the aftermath after her appa left. He left looking for greener pastures with another woman, and her Uma falls into a deep depression after he leaves her. She doesn't understand why he's gone. She keeps thinking that he's gonna come back, and her younger sister is scared. Change is scary, and her younger sister was scared, so Jiwang feels like she has to take care of her family. And then her Uma starts dating a man she met at the market where she works. The man's name is George, and he doesn't treat anybody in the family well. He has piercing blue eyes, and that's about all I'm gonna say about that, but there is basically foreshadowing on the cover here. So basically, this book follows Jiwang as she works herself up to a standoff between her and George and to protect what's left of her family. This book is a slow burn. The horror ramps up slowly, but by the end it's definitely there. becomes more and more unhinged as the book goes on, and because it didn't stop at that one point, it was a very good book. I did really enjoy this one. And the next book that I read in March was the best book that I read in March, and probably the best books that I've read so far this year still. It is Confessions by Kane Minato. I had trouble pronouncing it the last time I had it in a video also. So basically, Confessions, this is a revenge story. I love revenge stories, so we're already starting on a good note. So also, if you're not interested in revenge or don't like it as a main plot point, you're not gonna want to read this one. This is a plain, simple revenge story. The twist is in how the story is delivered to us. The book goes through the different perspectives of different key players of a tragedy that occurred in a middle school to a teacher's daughter. Each chapter, let's see how to put this. Each chapter is going through the viewpoint and events of a single person's experience of how this tragic event affects their own life. We start with the teacher of the class, whom is the one who is out for revenge. On the last day before break, she sits her class down and tells them that she knows that somebody in this classroom killed her daughter. And the plot starts to unfold from there. I'd not read a story that was delivered to us in the same way, so I liked the way that it was delivered. Each chapter was a single person's different viewpoint on the same thing. Seeing the same event and the events surrounding it through the different characters' viewpoints, and how that reveals to us, the reader, brings the small details and the clues together so that we can figure out the truth that had happened. This is a book that, if you don't like examining things in minute detail, you will probably find this repetitive and just not enjoyable. If you do have that interest in the attention to detail of the minor things that are different in each person's viewpoint, you will probably like this. How one thing can affect different people in different ways, and how one thing can be interpreted differently by different people. If you like that type of thing, you might want to try this book. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, probably still the best book that I've read so far this year, Confessions. And this book was followed by the book that I didn't like the most for the month of March. And that book was The Oracle Year by Charles Soule. So this book, basically, it asks, what would happen if you woke up and knew the future? That is the basis of the book, and as our main character, Will, wakes up one day and he knew things that no one could or should be able to know. He and his friends start a website after this fact, and on the site he puts a handful of those predictions that he woke up knowing. As these predictions come true that he had put up on the site becomes the most popular place on the internet, and everybody wants to know who is behind it. So this book follows our main character, Will, who is the Oracle, throughout the year of his life after he puts up the site. I thought that this book had a lot of potential. The book could have told us the reasons why Will started the site, the reasons why Will started selling his predictions, but it didn't. It basically just hit the surface of those. It told us that he did it, but it didn't really go into depth. He went through a doubting phase. It told us that he did these things. It told us that he started doubting his predictions and his own mind. He told us that he decided to figure out the what, the how, the why. It didn't show us. It didn't go into depth. It just told us. And that is the problem with this book. It told us what he did. It didn't show us. It could have gone into depth and make it a deep introspective on what it might be like if someone had woken up knowing the future, but it didn't. It's a surface level story of someone who became an oracle, and because of that, I didn't really care too much what happened to Will and his friends who were helping him, two of which just kind of disappeared in the middle of the story, and I was fine with that because I didn't care. This is a debut novel for an author of many Marvel comics, and you could tell that it had the comic book type surface level story. It didn't delve into the depths that I wanted with a novel, and that's why it is my least favorite book of the month. The 10th book I read in March was Cardcaptor Sakura Omnibus #1 by Clamp. I read this for the 52 Book Club's 2025 challenge. The prompt of sharing of a universe with another book prompt, and basically because I watched the anime when I was younger. This had two things going against it, but I was hoping that nostalgia would buoy it up for me. I'm not sure it did. One, this is definitely a middle grade manga. Fully written for a younger audience. Not saying that makes it bad. I've given some middle grade books 5 stars, but few and far between. It wasn't written for me. It was for somebody younger. 2, this story is at its root a romance. Not my thing. Always lowers books. Haven't found a romance or a story rooted in a romance really that I can think of that I was top tier for me. Oh, and rooted in a romance, and our main character is in 4th grade, and she has a crush on her crush is in high school, and yeah. No, not. I get it. That's how animes tend to work, especially the younger ones. The young girl goes for the older guy. No thanks. Okay, well, but this is the story of Sakura, a 4th grader who finds that she has magic and is tasked with finding and collecting the cloud cards. The cloud cards are magical cards, and they have escaped from their binding and are wreaking havoc on the world. When she captures one, she is able to use the magic of the card to help collect the rest. This one, this just jumps right in. When we meet Sakura, she is already the card captor and already in pursuit of the cloud cards. There's no backstory. It's just boom, you're in. So if you're interested in knowing how or why, you're gonna be disappointed. It's just boom, you're in. Because this is a romance. There is a boy that Sakura is in love with as a 4th grader, and later in the omnibus, a rival for said boy's affection shows up. So on top of that love triangle, Sakura's best friend is actually in love with Sakura, so there's even more going on with that, the romance thing. Because this is a middle grade, this is not a deep story, this is very surface level because it's written for youngins. And other than that, I did complete 2 audiobooks for when I was driving. One was a reread, Nick Cutter's The Deep. I know a lot of people don't like this one. I really enjoyed it. I liked how atmospheric his writing was, the claustrophobia of being on the ship or the station. The ending, yeah, it was exposition dumpy and it should have definitely been better, but the build up to that ending I really enjoyed. And the second one was The Roundhouse, which was coming of age story, which aren't my favorite. It was okay. It was also an audiobook, which I have trouble paying attention to. Might have liked it better if I read it, but I listened to it, and that's how that is. So that is what I read in March. That is what I was dealing with in March. Have you read any of these books? Did you enjoy any of these books better than me? Is there something you thought I missed with any of these? Are you now interested in reading any of the ones that I read? Let me know down in the comments. If you don't have anything to say and would like to still help my channel, leave a coffee emoji for me and I will comment back. And I'm sorry if this one's a little scatterbrained. It's hot. I'm having trouble concentrating. 80% humidity is not my fan, especially nowadays. But thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.